We're going to resume our meeting. I thank you, my colleagues, for all returning on time. We are going to return now to the regular agenda, item 6A2. And this is a motion to name that Commissioner McKinley brought forward. Commissioner McKinley?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I do not need a presentation on this. I would like to make a motion to name the conference room 113 at the Wellington Branch Library with one slight modification to Mayor Tom and Regis Wenham Conference Room.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner McKinley. I have a second by Vice Mayor Weiss. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, show that unanimously approved. Commissioner McKinley has the next item, 6A3. Would you like to explain it?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, it'd be my honor to move to approve item 6A3 to name the Children's Meeting Room 116 at the Wellington Branch Library with one modification to Mayor Kathy Foster Children's Activities Room.
Very good. I have a second by Commissioner Marino. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, show that unanimously approved, 7-0. Thank you very much. All right, we move on to 6B1, Water Utilities. Mr. Munlarin, how are you this fine day?
Doing very well, very well.
Okay.
So this item, Kristen is also joining me
This
here as
item,
well.
you have to say the
Yes,
name.
I'll do the motion for you if you like.
Oh, yeah, you have to say the name.
So staff is making recommending a motion to approve the appointment of Pollock Fun Pornwithun, Director of Utility Operations, to replace former Utilities Department employee Kenny Ramperson as the alternate Palm Beach County representative on the East Central Regional Wastewater Treatment Facilities Operation Board, effective December 1st, 2021.
Okay, I have a motion by Vice Mayor Weitz to approve that. I have a second by Commissioner Kerner. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, consider that approved, 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to move on with our regular agenda. We're now on to item 6C1. This is Planning and Zoning and Building. And this is certainly something that we've been very excited to be able to move forward. And Ramsey, I'm sure that you would like to just say a couple of words about this.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So as you're aware, the building department's been pretty much swamped with the amount of development going on. We're running some brief numbers. In 2015, we did about 47,000 permits. This year, we're going to be over 90,000 without a real increase in staff. So this position is going to help streamline. I know HR is extremely busy with all the other departments, but this is going to really streamline the building department and let us get some more folks in and certified and qualified to help with our building department and get some permits out in a more timely fashion and just assist overall trying to get things done and moving forward in the county. So really appreciate it and appreciate Wayne from HR and all his staff for helping us, get to where we are and continue, working forward to hiring expeditiously.
And our backup says that you have 60 vacant positions right now.
Approximately, yeah. I think we dwindled that down to about 50 now. So we've been hiring as much as we can and doing quite a lot of outreach, trying to get some more of the younger, less experienced folks in and train them up. We offer all kinds of training and incentives for them to try and learn the trade, and so we can keep them long-term once they've fully qualified.
Well, the good news is that the 2021 calculated value of the permits that you did get through was $2.5 billion. So obviously we have a county that is growing, and we certainly appreciate that. And hopefully with this you will be able to continue to grow and bring a lot more of building going on in our community. So with that, I'm looking for a motion to approve. I have a motion by Commissioner Marino. This is for 6C1 A and B. Do I have a second? I have a second by Commissioner McKinley. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor, all opposed, this is approved, 7-0.
Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. Okay, we're going to move on now to 6D1, Housing and Economic Development. This is in District 6, and this is going to be a $14 million revenue bond. Neither the taxing power nor the faith and credit of the county nor the county funds are pledged to pay the principal redemption premium, if any, or interest on the bonds. Commissioner McKinley, would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, I kind of feel like our clerk should help me make this motion. He was in office still in the legislature when we were dealing with a lot of this stuff out in the Glades, so thank you always for your help in the Glades. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve item 61, Mr. Mayor, as you've already read. I'd also like to point a couple of things out on this project. This is also going to be partially funded by a USDA Rural Development Agricultural Worker grant. And I want to thank Phil Leary, who's the former Rural Development Director for the state of Florida for USDA. He's not in that position anymore, but he was when we originally started to put the spotlight on the conditions of some of the farm worker housing units that are out in the Glades community, in particular the one that was in Belglade. And when he came out and started touring some of the facilities and meeting with members of the community, he saw an opportunity in Pahokee for this particular project. This will be located at the old Pahokee Hospital, and just wanted to remind the board, when we sat as the Solid Waste Authority Board just over a year ago, we approved a demolition grant to demolish the old Pahokee Hospital with the condition that it had to be used for housing. And so we're fulfilling all of those boxes we put out there. We've checked them all, and it's my honor to make the motion to approve this today.
Thank you, Commissioner McKinley. Did I hear Clerk Abruzzo's making the second over there? Well, I guess he can't, so Commissioner Kerner's going to do it in your stead. Okay, all in favor, all opposed, show that as approved by 7-0.
Thank you very much.
All righty, we move on now to 6E1. This is Criminal Justice Commission, and we have a revised motion. You may present.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Good afternoon. And our CJC Executive Director, Regina Herring, is making her way here.
Okey-doke.
So we're very excited about this project for the donation of a mobile felony probation unit, and that is to strengthen the Palm Beach County CJC effort. So if you will allow me, have Regina Herring to make a brief presentation.
Very good. Please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have also with us today is our Regional Director with Department of Corrections and the, is Isami there?
Attorney. No, attorney.
Oh, Michelle Johns. She's the Circuit Administrator here for the 15th Judicial Circuit.
Attorney.
And we have an attorney, Jean
Jean Williams. Yeah.
So,
Very good.
Yeah.
So just so you'll know, let me see if I can know how to use this thing. All righty. This is our mobile probation unit, and this is a part of our Safety and Justice Challenge. We have a grant from the MacArthur Foundation. We've had this grant for a little bit over 5 years now. And this is a second cohort grant which we got, and as a part of that project, we are implemented this initiative because remember, the whole overall purpose of that project was for us to look at how do we reduce the overutilization of low-level offenders in the jail? How do we keep our costs down? How do we come up with some innovative initiatives? This one, we found that FTA's, failure to appear rates for low-level offenders, and many of those are probation violations. How do we reduce that? Save county dollars. So this was an innovative idea that we partnered with the Department of Corrections, and they're going to oversee the project. ISME facilities and department was very instrumental in us putting all of this together, the contracting the vehicle, outfitting the vehicle, and doing the documents so that we can transfer it. They're going to maintain the vehicle and keep us going. The overall goal, as we said, as you can see, it's really for us to look at how do we help people who are having on probation and having challenges, transportation problems, because that's a heavy load for the county when you're talking about taxpayer dollars for a person to stay in jail for a couple days. If we can reduce that by reducing that challenge. Also, looking at innovative ways we found, and they did a report that shows many of their clients are, and I'll let them speak to some of this too, are in need of opportunities for job placement, job training. This vehicle will have a staff person. They're going to have a person to provide that level of linkage for services. And then it's also to build that relationship between the agency and the probationer, because sometimes that's a little, can be a tight situation, but it's how do we build community and leverage community resources and partnerships. Here we show you how the bus would look. We didn't want it to look too much like a prison bus or anything like that, so it kind of looks like your palm tram pickup from the house bus type of thing.
Transit, right.
And it doesn't have a whole lot of verbiage on it other than community corrections. And then this shows you the layout of how it's set up. And Justine, if you want to, you can talk to that, how you all came up with the.
Can you push your button, please?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity. As you can see with what's on the screen, there will be 3 stations within the bus where the officer will be able to meet with their probationer. There's also a bench for waiting. And in the rear, we will be able to do everything with this unit that we would be able to do in the office with the probationer, as well as we will be adding an awning to the outside that we can put up and take down for them. And we're excited about this. This would be the first in the state of Florida for this. So, and as a resident of Palm Beach County, I'm certainly happy and excited about this. And we're hoping for more to come, but it will serve the residents of Palm Beach County, make it easier for them because we will be roving with this in different areas on a decided schedule where the probationers will be aware and they can meet the bus where we set it up and they can report in lieu of going to the office. Everything will be able to be done within this unit.
So there'll be a regular schedule that you'll publish so that the
Yes, sir.
probationers know where they can go to
Where
get
it will
their
be located
report.
throughout all of Palm Beach County.
Very good, very good. Okay, I have Commissioner Sachs would like to ask a question.
Sure.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a wonderful idea. It really is awesome. And I know that we have Clerk of the Court, Abruzzo, here with us today. A lot of the work that the clerk's office does is to maintain the records for those folks who are on reporting probation or non-reporting probation. So this really alleviates a lot of the work that our clerk will have to do. It also, I just want to make two questions. One, can probationers check in to this mobile unit when they have to report to probation once a month? Would this-
Yes, that
so
is
they,
the
they do their
design.
reporting right at this mobile unit. So you kind of know already who has to report at certain dates, so you can even go to that neighborhood.
Yes.
And they can report right there at the mobile units. Excellent. Second, is this also available for juvenile detainees who are on?
It may be, but it would need to be separate because of
Right,
a
you
lot of
can't-
legalities. We certainly would not be in the same area at the same time because of the levels of individuals that we supervise. We would not want our juveniles to be in that area at that time. So at the moment, that's not to say because it is the first that we cannot engage in a dialogue to see in the future, but I also know that we're doing this on a trial period to see what improvements need to be made, how we can advance it. And I'm hoping, I'm over 6 judicial circuits, that all of the other 5 will see this mobile unit and actually act upon it.
Kudos to all of you. And
And
I'm really looking forward to seeing how it works. It's a trial basis, and I just think it's a wonderful thing. So many folks go to prison because they can't make that reporting probation or the technical violations. And I know our clerk, Abruzzo, must be very pleased with having somebody to take over some of those issues. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Weiss?
Thank you. I'm just curious if you have any goals established on, sort of the type of reduction you hope to.
Yes, we will be keeping track of all of the individuals that will be reporting and utilizing the mobile unit. And then over a period of time that I think in a year or two, we're going to look at the number of technical violations and the decrease and the benefit it has served.
Yeah, one of the components that what we're wanting to be able to do with our projects is not only do we just implement, we want to be able to evaluate its impact. So although these are grant dollars, there's still county dollars leveraged with it. So we really want to make sure if we have, and I'm not sure right now what the percentage of FTAs are, how much did that get reduced as a result of, and how many of these clients did we see get employed or become stable and productive citizens?
Great.
So that's the goal.
So I look forward to seeing your update at some point in time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was looking for clarification. You said that we're matching with
Well, it's
county
just-
funds because it says that there's no county
There's no
funds.
county match, but when I say leverage, it's just, our resources, staff working on it. It's not any dollar for dollar match, but we are putting in, equity, work equity and time. So, that's value.
Right.
And so we have to look at, how we providing that service.
Very good, thank you. Clerk Abruzzo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner Sachs, you hit the nail right on the head. What you are doing is fantastic. Where the backup in the court system happens is when somebody misses or violates their probation, and that we have to open up a whole nother case, and it adds to the backlog, the already backlog in the court system due to COVID. So this is terrific. It's outstanding for the community, and I want to thank the County Commission ahead of their vote. Thank you for bringing this forward. It's fantastic. Thank you, Commissioner Sachs.
Commissioner McKinley.
This is great, and thank you, Commissioner Sachs, for asking the question on DJJ. I would love to see an expansion, if this turns out successful, an expansion of that program as well, because so many of those kids don't have a mom or dad that can drive them to their check-ins. You're going to have an employment specialist for job training and employment opportunities traveling along with you. Is there an opportunity to have a social services navigator also travel with you in case they find out that these residents need help, housing assistance or health insurance assistance, et cetera?
That's something that it's not built in at this point, but I think a part of our assessment as we go along, if that's something that we find may be a need, I don't see why that's something we won't consider.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we interview those that come into the mobile unit and just get a feel for what other services they might need, and then maybe we can respond to that at some point after we have the data?
Yes, we can do that. We do that in our offices in terms of helping the probationers with whatever their needs may be. So that would certainly be a part of what we would do here.
Okay, and then always wanting to show off my county to our state and our national association, can I ask that Mr. Von Laren coordinate putting in an award application to NACO and to FAC for this wonderful program?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McKinley. Commissioner Kerner.
Thank you, Mayor. We do have two comment cards. I think they may be members of the
Right.
Department of Corrections, Michelle Johns and Justine Patterson.
Yes.
So with that aside, I did want to point out that this, the catalyst, I believe, for this is not just the hard work of those before us, but also our being a recipient of the Catherine MacArthur Foundation Safety and Justice Challenge grant, which I can tell you, having served on the Criminal Justice Commission for now almost 10 years, that without the participation of the citizens that volunteer and serve on that commission, and of course our executive director, Virginia, who does incredible work, that was one of the foundational issues that allowed us to apply successfully for the grant. And then now we're seeing even more and more benefit and value from the monies we received in the grant funding. And there are a lot of other issues and programs that have come to light because of the CJC. So I wanted to take a moment to show my appreciation to the leadership of the CJC, but also in particularly the citizens that serve on it. We meet at 8 in the morning. We meet often. There are substantive meetings. There are a lot of working groups and subcommittees that work within that structure that make it a much better place to live, work, and play. Actually, the dean of UF Business said live, work, and love, and I kind of like that. That was pretty cool. But it helps our community really embrace and help those that need a lifting hand, and this is a product of that, in addition to the text messaging to defendants that are in a court case that helps the clerk's office run more efficiently. It helps particularly those that are having to appear in court to receive a simple reminder by text message, so that that process of getting stuck in the system, as we call it, whether it's not reporting timely or showing up for an arraignment or a status conference, and making it easier by going to these folks that need some assistance at a difficult point in life. So this is great work, and thank you for your leadership and to the Department of Corrections.
Thank you. I just simply wanted to thank the Criminal Justice Commission for allowing us to have a seat at the table, and that is how this was born. The suggestion was made by us. It was embraced, and also the MacArthur Foundation for their donating the funds to make it happen. But I want to thank Ms. Herring, who we had a number of meetings. Also Bert Winkler, who we got to be good friends. And also Susan Berman, who made it happen. I have to mention them because it was several meetings, and this was pre-COVID, but we did not let it drop. We were determined to see this happen, and I thank you all for that. And also Ms. Johns, who is the circuit administrator here in Palm Beach County, we just thank you for having the ability to move forward with this.
And just to reiterate, I think that this is $80,000 is just a small price to pay to help these families stay out of jail and continue, rehabilitating their lives, and I think this is terrific. So I'm going to look for a motion to approve. I have a motion by Commissioner Kerner, seconded by Vice Mayor Weiss. I'm going to look for a vote. All in favor, all opposed. It is unanimously approved, 7-0. Thank you so much.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, just in relation to the motion that I offered, it was the revised motion as published in the add and delete 6E1A.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to move on to item 6D1. We're still in housing and economic development. And this is no, sorry, I did it again. I'm going to do better next time. Got to turn the page. That's what happened. I didn't give you enough time for lunch, right? Okay, all right. 6F1, fire rescue. I see Chief Duran here. So we'll give you a moment to come on up and let us know why you want more money.
Good afternoon, Mayor Reinroth, Vice Mayor Weiss, and Commissioners, as well as Madam Administrator. Fire Rescue is here asking for additional funds so that we can be competitive with others in the fire rescue industry who are asking for increases in fees. What we're looking to do is put our fee collections into the midpoint of those that surround us and those that are of comparable size throughout the community. This will be approximately a $20 increase each year for a 3-year period.
Okay. I don't see anybody quibbling with that. I'm going to look for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Marino, second by Commissioner Kerner. All in favor? All opposed? You got your money.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We're going to move on to another item for fire rescue. This is 6F2. Chief?
Yes, sir. Fire Rescue is again asking for a approval to enter an agreement with One Blood to provide blood components and certain other services. That's the part that's in the text. The real exciting part is we have an opportunity to really make a difference in our community. I'm very excited about the presentation you're about to see from our medical director, or should we refer to him as our chief medical director, Dr. Shepke, as well as our EMS chief, Chief Charles Coyle. We're excited because, once again, Palm Beach County Fire Rescue is taking the opportunity to boldly go where others will follow. And I think we're going to see this is going to be something that's going to be in the future of all emergency medical services throughout South Florida. Dr. Sheppy?
Thank you, Chief, and Commissioners, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. As the Chief mentioned, I'm Dr. Ken Shepke. I'm the Chief Medical Officer for Palm Beach County Fire Rescue. And it's been my honor to work with this organization under the leadership of Chief Duran, Assistant Chief Kennedy, and of course EMS Chief Coyle. And I can tell you that Palm Beach County Fire Rescue has become a nationally recognized center of excellence for pre-hospital care. And we could not have done that without the support of you all, and I thank you very much for that. So I'm excited to talk about the next innovation we want to do, and that is with pre-hospital blood products and giving the ability to do transfusion. Trauma remains a major cause of death of Americans, and it's actually the #1 cause of death for Americans aged 1 through 45. Some of these deaths are things that we can't do anything about, but there's others that we consider to be preventable deaths. And it's a very time-sensitive illness, as the graph illustrates. As time goes on, we lose more and more people. So these time-sensitive issues that require treatment, the best place to give that is pre-hospital, which is at the earliest contact with the patient. And looking at this graph, you can see that of the subsets of trauma, we break down trauma by various things, whether it's head injury or blood loss, et cetera. Bleeding is the second most common cause of death from trauma. And when you use a combination of what we call hemorrhage control bundles, which you've seen us put in place before, stop the bleed, tourniquets, but what's been missing is actually blood product replacement, then you can actually drop the death rate in these preventable deaths by about 1/3. So stopping the bleeding is fantastic, but if somebody's already lost too much blood, the only option is actually replace that blood. And it's interesting to look at the history of how we've resuscitated patients over time due to traumatic illnesses. And if you look back, over 100 years ago, we were using blood. So we've kind of come full circle. Even up to World War II, we're using blood. And then in the 1970s, because of a number of logistical problems, blood supply issues, fear of communicable illnesses, we sort of moved away from blood for a little while, and we started using these clear liquids that we call crystalloids, or basically salt water, to enhance the volume of patients who've lost a lot of volume of blood to raise their blood pressure up. And that's what we were using. And it wasn't until certain researchers, such as one of our medical directors, it's on our team, internationally renowned researcher Dr. Paul Pepe, did some research in the late 80s and early 90s that showed that when you gave trauma patients fluids that were saline and not blood, you didn't get better outcomes, you got worse outcomes. So he really changed care across the world with his landmark research and showed really need to go back to going to whole blood again. And that's where we are now. And we started doing that at the trauma centers and we started doing that at the hospitals. But what we found is when you delay giving whole blood, you're not getting the full benefit of it because you're having organs. There's stuff that's unique to blood that you really have to give it early. I'll just quickly go study after study after study have been showing the benefits of giving blood to these trauma patients. And here, it doesn't even have to just be blood, it could be blood products. Blood has a number of components in it, one of which is what we call plasma, which has blood clotting factors. So you can imagine if you've got a number of damaged arteries and veins that are bleeding, you want to be able to cause blood clots so you can stop that bleeding. And this is basically an excerpt out of a study that showed when you gave plasma early on, you statistically significantly dropped the death rate because you stopped the bleeding. But why whole blood though? That's even better because whole blood has the plasma in it, but it also has the oxygen carrying capacity, it has the volume that saline has, and it's got the platelets that also helps with blood clotting, and you can give it all up in one package. So this is, it seems obvious, right? If you get injured and you're leaking out red stuff, you should replace it with red stuff, not clear stuff. And that's really what, it took us 100 years to figure that out, but that's where we're at again. So that's really where we want to go, and I thank you for your support. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Coyle to talk about some of the logistics.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I guess I want to talk about the logistics, because that's what everyone, at least I know when it was first brought to me, is how do we do this in the pre-hospital setting? In the hospital setting, you have coolers, you have a pathologist, you have all of these things that are essentially done before the blood is administered. So I want to just show you a few slides here, a few pictures. This is straight from Broward Sheriff's Office. They've been administering blood for quite some time down in their organization. I think they just passed the 50 administration mark of pre-hospital blood, and they've expanded out past trauma, and now they're giving it to medical patients as well. But essentially the blood is, it's replaced from one blood and it's stored in the cooler. Obviously there's daily documentation that's done on the blood. The blood is removed from this storage facility into this cooler. And the best way to describe this, it's designed by the military. Essentially, it's a Yeti on steroids. So essentially, this is able to keep the blood at the correct temperature, which is 4 degrees Celsius, from anywhere from 24 to 48 hours. So in the morning, our EMS supervisors or our Trauma Hawk personnel will transfer this cooler back into the wall to plug in. There'll be 2 coolers. They'll remove the blood and put it in the cooler, and then there's temperature sensors on the blood to be able to measure the blood to make sure that it doesn't go out of the range. Of course, if it goes out of the range, it gets taken out of service. So there'll be lots of documentation to make sure accuracy is complete throughout the whole transition from the daily morning checkout to possible administration and then shift change the next day. This map is not that easy to see, but essentially what we did is we took the protocol, we looked at what they were doing out in Texas, we looked at what they're doing in New Orleans, we looked at what they're doing in BSO, and we took their criteria and we looked at 1 year's worth of data in our trauma cases, and we tried to lay it out on a map to figure out exactly where would we have potentially been able to use this blood. And the answer is simple: all 4 corners of the county, from the north to the south, from the east to the west. There's not one particular area in this county that we couldn't have benefit from having this product. So we will continue to analyze the data to make sure that we put the blood in the appropriate place. We do plan on expanding past the Trauma Hawk and getting it onto some of our EMS captains' vehicles. That way they can respond to different calls in different response zones to make sure that we're maximizing the opportunity of saving lives in trauma. But it will take a village. So today's the first part of this. Obviously, we're going to work closely with the trauma surgeons at Delray. We've been working very closely and doing ground rounds with the trauma surgeons at St. Mary's. One Blood is going to be a huge component for us to make sure that we're getting this, make sure that we're getting supply in and out. The Trauma Hawk, as well as the healthcare district, which we've been working with Ms. Davis and as well as Dr. Andrick on rolling this plan out. In the future, and one of the questions that I figured might come up is, what about that supply for whole blood? Well, if we look, this is Dr. C.J. Winkler out in San Antonio. And the program they discovered out in San Antonio was essentially their people donate whole blood, and they put it into their blood bank, and they continuously use their blood to serve the community. So one of the things that I would like to change here, instead of brothers in arms, I think it should say brothers and sisters in arms. But I think brothers in arms is a good catchphrase to start the program out in San Antonio, and hopefully we could bring it here to Palm Beach County Fire Rescue for the citizens. I would be remiss if, before we ask for questions, if I didn't thank a few people, because there was a lot of people that have got us to this particular point. This project has been going on for quite some time. The county attorney group, Sharon Burrows and Annie, they have been phenomenal. This has taken a lot of back and forth with One Blood to make sure that we had a contract that was feasible to be able to bring here today to present. So thank you so much for your efforts. Mike Martz, I know he's sitting up front here, but he has been exceptional in moving this project along, and we're very thankful for that. Chief Dern, for all his support. We're definitely thankful that we're able to move forward and at least present this project to you today. Risk management, I know Scott Marting sitting in the back. I know Scott sat on some of the phone calls as well to give us some direction, and we're very thankful for that as well. And last but not least, he's in the back corner, retired Special Ops Captain since February, Joe Nelson. My gift to him was going to be that we got this contract done in February. Obviously, I missed the mark a little bit. So thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to present, and we'll open it up for any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm not seeing any questions. I do want to point out to my colleagues that, as was stated here, this agreement is going to be a slight deviation from normal. There's going to be a limited liability in the amount of $200,000, which again deviates from county standard contract terms, but has been approved by a county attorney.
Mr. Mayor, I'll go ahead and move approval of item 6F, 2A, and B, and just want to congratulate Fire Rescue for putting this before us today.
I have a motion by Commissioner McKinley, seconded by Commissioner Kerner. Seeing no further conversations and discussions, all in favor, all opposed, it's approved, 7-0.
Thank you so much.
Our pleasure. All right, we go on to airports, and I'll give my usual, this is like when I'm in the TPA, I talk about Vision Zero. I rail against these items, and poor Laura's got to come in, and just in case we have some questions, but I'm assuming we won't. Pursuant to the changes in Chapter 332, Florida statute, effective October 1st, 2020, governing body of the Commercial Service Airport may not approve purchases of contractual service in excess of Category 5 threshold of $325,000. That's why we're here today. Can someone move to approve this?
Move approve.
Okay, we're going to move to approve 6G, 1A and B. It's been moved by Commissioner Marino, seconded by Vice Mayor Weiss. All in favor, all opposed, it is approved, 7-0. Okay, someday you're not going to come and someone's going to have a question. I'm going to pass the gavel to my Vice Mayor, and I'm going to speak to the next item, which is 6H1. I thank the Clerk of Court for bringing this to our attention during your presentation. I think that this is terrific, that we are going to hopefully increase the amount that we can invest in Israel bonds from 5 to 10%, and increase the term of the bonds potentially from 5 to 10 years. Thank you, Clerk Abruzzo, for bringing this to our attention, and it would be my pleasure to move the approval of item 6H1.
We have a motion by Mayor Weinroth and a second by Commissioner Marino. Are there any other comments, questions? Oh,
His red button doesn't work, so.
you don't have a light down there, so sorry about
He's got a light. Push your light.
Does it work?
There he goes. Clerk
All
wants the
right.
book.
Oh, okay. You're recognized, Mr. Abruzzo.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I truly appreciate it. And just to put a brief context on it, the 3-year treasury that we put money into is paying 0.9%, where the Israeli bond right now, their 3 years, is 1.36%. We are coming on up on a time where we have about $700 million of past investments maturing. Last year, about a year and a half ago, we got about 40 basis points. Now, our safe investments are paying 20 basis points. So our investments have all been cut in half. This is critical to making sure we're getting great investment on the Palm Beach County taxpayers' money and giving you all the funds that you need to run your county, run our county. I cannot thank you enough. The 10% cap means we have about $3 billion right now that we're investing, so about $300 million now will go into Israeli bonds, and it most likely will be the 3-year bond. So thank you all, and thank you, Mayor Weinroth, for being so supportive from the minute I brought it up. Really appreciate it.
All right. Any other comments? Seeing none. All in favor? All opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. And I take the gavel back from you, and we're going to move on to an add-on. So this is item 6I1. Mr. Bunlarin, I guess you're up at bat.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Todd Bonlarin, Assistant County Administrator. Before you, we have an item that the Board of County Commissioners asked us last month to bring back related to our COPCN process, specifically for the issuance of secondary special COPCNs. So our team, led by Stephanie Shanahaw, went to work, put together some of the language, working with the county attorney's office. Thank you very much for the expertise in the county attorney's office, and brought forward a recommended change to the EMS Council, as well as to the League of Cities. The EMS Council recommended moving forward on this change, and what it does is it creates an alternative to audited financial statements. And in that place, if a company would prefer to provide a reviewed financial statement along with a letter signed by the community association that is partaking on their services, that would then suffice under these changes, these new changes in the ordinance. We have a more detailed presentation by staff if you would like that, or we are available for any questions that you might have.
Commissioner McKerner, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any questions. Obviously, I was one that was advocating for this. I'm sure there were other members on the board. I believe Commissioner Marino has been a leader on this issue, and we appreciate her leadership on it. I just wanted to make sure, I didn't receive a card from Mr. J. Alpert, but did you have any comments that you wanted to make? He's been instrumental, Mr. Mayor, in crafting this alternative to make it more business-friendly and more friendly to our constituents.
I'm going to ask you to fill out a card after you speak.
Certainly. I just wanted to say thank you for the indulgence in reviewing this ordinance. I think it's something that's going to be incredibly beneficial to all of the to a lot of people who live within the confines of Palm Beach County. It's something that just makes sense, and I think it's going to be something that's going to work out incredibly well.
Very good. Thank you for your
Thank you.
comments. We appreciate them. All right, so we have, I don't see any more lights. I guess everybody is pretty comfortable with the presentation that staff has made. Can I have a motion? I have a
Second.
motion by Commissioner Marino, seconded by Vice Commissioner Kerner. We'll make it Governor Kerner, whatever. All right, all in favor, all opposed? That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to board appointments. I'm going to start from right and go to left. So, my right. Commissioner McKinley, please.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Katrina Long Robinson to the Advisory Commission on Women.
Seconded by Vice Mayor Weiss. All in favor, all opposed, 7-0.
Thank you. That's all I have for that.
Very good. Commissioner Marino.
I have none at this time, thank you.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner Sachs. Okay, Commissioner Bernard.
None, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kerner.
No appointments, Mayor.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to reappoint Joyce Vaughn to the Citizens Committee on Airport Noise.
I have a second by Commissioner Kerner. All in favor, all opposed, 7-0. Okay, and I'm going to ask you to take care of two for me, please.
Thank you. I would like to reappoint Aaron Wormus to the Citizens Committee on Airport Noise and appoint Pamela Polani to the Advisory Commission on Women.
I have a second by Commissioner Kerner. All in favor, all opposed. Thank you, Vice Mayor Weiss. Okay, we're done with our appointments. It's time for administrators' comments. How you doing over there, Commissioner? I mean, Administrator.
Administrator. Just would like to ask the board to receive and file our board directives. We're in the process of getting them updated, but the ones that you have on here, the Economic and Technical Summit, we're still moving forward with it and working with your appointee, Commissioner Sachs, as well as the BDB on March 30th. We decided that we were going to turn this into a 1 day as opposed to 1.5 with the direction from Commissioner Sachs. So it'll be March 30th. We'll continue to provide you updates as we finalize information. The Riviera Beach Marina compliant, Riviera Beach is in compliance with our agreement regarding the waterfront bond. Also, we presented to you the West County and the South County complex. You gave us some directions, so we're working on that, and we'll bring that back to you when it's appropriate. And we're on schedule to release an RFP in January of 2022 for the ATV park.
That's it?
That's it.
All right, Vice Mayor Weiss has made a motion to receive and file. I have a second by Commissioner Kerner. All in favor, all opposed. That has been received and filed. County Attorney,
I have one other announcement, sorry.
you can't take a breath, you know, you
I
just.
see. I would like to recognize the fact that Nancy Bolton, this is her last BCC meeting as staff. Nancy will be leaving us and going to be the Director of Risk Management for one of the largest school districts in the nation. We're going to miss her. Nancy started with us in 2004 as our Director of Risk Management. And she did such an outstanding job and shined throughout doing it that when I became the county administrator, I did appoint her as one of my assistant county administrators in 2016. She has done an excellent job for us. She handled a lot of our inward-facing departments, and she did a lot. She's also worked with community services and assisted with a lot of the implementation of not only the CARES dollars, but ARPA dollars as well with community services. She's been instrumental when John Van Arnhem, who's in the audience, left us. He was the hunger king. She became the hunger queen. And so she continued to move forward. We are going to miss you dearly. Nancy, thank you for the 17 and a half years you provided excellent service to the residents of Palm Beach County and been an excellent teammate on Team PBC. We wish you well. We know that you will always be a member of Team PBC. So to ensure you don't forget where your loyalties truly lie, we're giving you a basket filled with Team PBC memorabilia, and we want you to put it in your new office. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. If I may, I've made it through 6.5 weeks of notice without crying, and I intend to continue that trend. Thank you so much. So beautiful. Thank you. All of the memorabilia will be proudly displayed. I did not expect to be in front of you with this news at this point in my career, but I can just tell you that my heart and my faith are leading me in a direction that my head really hadn't considered. And I never cry at work. It's the first thing that you learn in business school. You don't cry at work, so forgive me. But I want to thank Administrator Baker and the administration team. I love you all like family. I'll carry with me everything I've learned. I'll apply proudly. And my departments, risk management, Scott Marting, Wayne Condry, HR, sweet Kathy Scarlett, purchasing, James and Taruna and Wendy, and community services, Pam Guerrier, who has a heart as big as this room. You all don't see it much, but she does. Office of Equal Opportunity. The medical examiner, it's amazing that we've been able to acquire Dr. Wendy Sneed. You don't get much FaceTime with her. You don't want any FaceTime with her. But she's just incredible and a real asset to the county that you don't see every day. My dotted line to the health department and the healthcare district. And these people have been rock stars over the past couple of years. And board, I'm so proud of you. The way you have led this organization, I'm so sorry. I'm not a crier. The way that you've led this organization through the last 2 years, balancing public safety and political baskets of snakes and business, continuing business and making sure that our residents are able to make a living. I'm just so proud of you, and it's been such a privilege to serve you. And that's all. Thank you. Happy trails.
Do not allow the tears to fool you. She is a feisty one.
I am.
getting away yet. Commissioner McKinley would like to say a word.
Yeah, of course, it's usually me, the one that's choking up on these microphones, so it's a nice change of pace. Nancy, it's been such a pleasure to work with you for the last, 11 years, I believe. I had some calls yesterday from my friends over at the Palm Beach County Food Bank asking me if the rumors were true. They are very sad to see you go. You've been such a great asset for them. Alongside John Van Arnam, but you've led the charge for the last 2 years, and it's been great. But I pushed you. I really pushed you on 2 things that this county has done that we should be really proud of. I pushed you on the establishment of the Addiction Stabilization Unit and making sure that that got up and running and making sure it continues to operate and make sure that we've got the input from the people that are utilizing it and able to make those changes with JFK and with the healthcare district. And I really pushed you on Palm Beach County Fire Rescue and the cancer presumption issue and being the first county in the state of Florida to offer that to our first responders. It wasn't something as a risk manager that you were entirely comfortable undertaking, but you made it work. The school board, it's definitely our loss and their gain, but I think you have a wonderful opportunity to work and take the position of the person who mentored you and made you the professional that you are. I'm glad that we played a small role in that, and I think you're kind of going home to work at the school district, and they're very lucky to have you, and we will certainly miss you. And thank you as a mom for helping me get all of my children's wisdom teeth pulled and deal with the bureaucracy that is dental insurance.
Absolutely, thank you.
Commissioner Kerner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Nancy. I just wanted to make sure that I had the opportunity to tell you in public how much I've appreciated and enjoyed working with you, but most importantly, how much I respect you. You spoke about the 2 years during COVID, and I got the opportunity to work with you at the EOC, and there was never a time where if we weren't working together, that I looked out on the floor there in the EOC and you were at your computer working away. Bernhardt, as a person of short stature, I can appreciate that Bernhardt would say, "Oh, she's not there," and we'd have to say, "No, there she is." But more importantly than that, there are times where we have had some very intense disagreements, and you were always kind enough to call me after and say, "Hey, are we okay?" And the answer was, "Of course we are." But the point is that I really appreciated the way that you challenged me, and I don't mean challenge in the typical sense, but that you made me think more deeply or from a different perspective. And when we're elected as a county commissioner, we're not cloaked in some presumption of correctness. We are people just like anyone else. And so to have those conversations and those moments of intense dialogue and debate, and to hold us accountable, I've always appreciated that. I think that the worst thing you can have in government or an organization is a yes man or a yes woman. And certainly when a decision is made, whether by the board or on a personal basis between the administrator and the commissioner or an assistant county administrator, we come out as a unified team and we speak the same language and we communicate that same message together in agreement. But oftentimes behind closed doors, that dialogue, that challenge, that pushing me and other commissioners to think or look at from a different perspective has meant the world to me, and I've always respected you for that, and I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for your tutelage and your guidance and your mentoring me into this government.
Thank you so much.
Nancy, I'm going to reiterate what Commissioner Kerner said. Obviously, we hear from a lot of our constituents who love to trash government. They trash us. They trash people who they deal with in the county government, the city government, and federal government, and state government. But I have learned in my 3 years here that everybody here is working for one purpose, and that is for our residents. And you have been terrific. I've leaned on you on several occasions, and you've been there for me, short in stature and all. And I think that you are really an asset, and you are going to be missed. And like Commissioner McKinley said, our loss is the school district's gain. So good luck to you, and maybe you'll come back someday. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I think we're going to move on. County Attorney.
No, thank you for asking, though, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, now we're going to do some commissioner comments. I'm going to go in numeric order this time, just to change it up. So, Commissioner Marino, you are first.
Thank you. I have several items. One is I would like to request an off-site proclamation declaring December 10th, 2021 as Andrew Red Harris Artificial Reef Day in Palm Beach County.
And Vice Mayor Weiss has seconded it. All approved. 7-0. It has been approved.
Thank you. I would also like to request board approval to direct staff to bring back an agenda item for the January 4th, 2022 BCC meeting, naming the East Classroom of the West Jupiter Recreation Center for Edna W. Runner. Those of you that know me know that Edna has made a difference in my life over the last 20 years, and the difference in the lives of thousands of kids. She is in 1955 became a resident of the Limestone Creek area, has been the executive director of the West Jupiter Community Group, also known as the Edna W. Runner Tutorial Center. The county has partnered with the center countless times to bring better facilities to the area for our kids, and she turned 70 in January, and this would be a wonderful thing to do for her in recognition of that.
And Vice Mayor Weiss agrees, and he seconds it. All in favor, all opposed, unanimously approved by the board.
I have one more item, too. I'd like to thank the multiple agencies that have helped in the arrest in the Ryan Rogers case, from the City of Palm Beach Gardens to the City of Miami to the Palm Beach County Crime Lab. It's a sad event. There are still a lot of questions to be had. I know there are a lot of people clamoring for more information. I just ask them all to be patient. There is still an ongoing investigation, and as information can be released, I know those agencies will do so in a timely manner. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Marino. Okay, Commissioner Kerner.
No comments, Mayor.
Okey doke. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you, Mayor. Today, as was noted in the prayer done by my good Commissioner Bernard, today is December 7th, and Florida has the second largest population of veterans in the country. And as we recall what happened in 1941, we should also recall that we have many veterans who live amongst us today. And I think that it's good that we remember and we mourn the loss of veterans. But if you see a veteran in the street, or if you see a veteran in a restaurant or in the airport, make sure you say thank you for your service. No matter how old he or she may be, we are here because of them. And I think sometimes, especially the ones from wars past, to Vietnam and Korea, that we forget how meaningful it is to them to be remembered. So my comments today is thank you to all the veterans of all our wars past, and hopefully never to have wars in the future. That we thank you for your service.
Let's hope that that's a possibility. Thank you, Commissioner Sachs. Okay, Commissioner McKinley.
Thanks, Mayor. Just a couple of comments. First, I want to thank everybody who went out to the Tri-Cities Barbecue in Belglade this past Friday. And I want to thank you for standing in for me in my district. I wasn't able to be there, and I just wanted to quickly explain why I wasn't able to be there. I have the honor of being one of 3 now appointees from the state of Florida to serve on the National Association of Counties Board of Directors, and we had our board meeting in DeKalb County, just outside of Atlanta, last week from Wednesday through Saturday. And I was able to tour 4 really cool facilities, and I'm going to make sure I get the information to the appropriate staff. One of them was the new Black Wall Street Market, where they took, an investor came in and they got all sorts of TIF financing and federal dollars, redevelopment dollars to do this. They took an old Target and they renovated, gutted the inside, and they created a lot of small cubicles, and they're working with a philanthropist who teaches entrepreneurship. And they are working with young Black entrepreneurs, and they come in and they rent these little spaces and they set up stores, and it's really their first entree into starting new businesses. So a really cool program, and I think in some scale we could replicate here in Palm Beach County at some point. Chris 180 was a wraparound foster care child welfare program. Absolutely phenomenal, has all sorts of housing units on the same campus as the services that all of these kids need. It's all on the same campus. It was a great program. The Metro Atlanta Urban Farm, where they actually, they've got a farm right in the middle of the city, and a lot of volunteers and corporate partners are working with them on that. But the one I really wanted to highlight was the last one that we did on Saturday before I caught my plane ride home, and that was Black Hall Studios. And I think we should be really proud that this board has taken such a strong position in support of financial incentives for the film and television industry in the state of Florida. And that we've got our local film industry here, and we should be doing whatever we can to promote it. During 2019, the Georgia's Film and Television Incentive Program had a $1.9 billion economic impact to the state of Georgia. During 2020, where you would think that industry had a big downturn, there was such a high demand for new content because everybody was streaming on things like Hulu and Netflix. It actually led to a $4.1 billion economic impact on the state of Georgia. The state of Georgia is mostly doing the larger feature films and some streaming capacity for television, while California is still strongly supported more on the television industry, but they are working hand in hand. They're not stealing business from each other. And I am really happy that we've taken a position to support Senator Joe Gruder's Film and Television Incentive Bill, and hope that when we go up for Palm Beach County Day, we do everything we can to help him get that bill passed. And then the last thing I want to highlight is yesterday I was able to attend a joint training session for the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office and Palm Beach County Fire Rescue at the Vincent Ramos Therapeutic Equestrian Center. And they were teaching rescue skills on how to respond to an equestrian emergency. But the other thing they were teaching, Ms. Baker, was the impact that equine therapy can have on first responders in terms of a treatment alternative for PTSD. And I would like to ask that staff take a look at possibly contracting with Vincent Ramos for fire rescue. I know we can't do that for the sheriff, he has to do that himself, but at least for our fire rescue agency, you should have seen these first responders and how relaxed they got when they were petting the horses. It was really cool. So those are my comments. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you, Commissioner McKinley. Commissioner Bernard?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just real quick, I'd like to extend my condolences to Revere Beach Mayor Ronnie Felder on the passing of his father, Robert C. Felder. Mr. Felder, he founded Jay's Ministries, which is an organization that serves the community in Revere Beach. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernard. Vice Mayor Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. Earlier today I mentioned that this week on Thursday and Friday, the Southeast Florida Regional Climate Leadership Summit will be happening. It's going to be all virtual event this year, being primarily hosted by Palm Beach County, but we're working with our partners both from Broward, Dade, Monroe, and it's open to anybody. You do have to go online. If you visit Southeast Florida Regional Compact Climate Change, you can register and attend the event. There will be a lot of good information being shared. The work that the counties do together in understanding the impacts of climate change, coming up with assessments in terms of sea level rise that they work together on. And it's just, there's a lot of really good sessions, and a lot of the information is very pertinent to where we live. And also, one of the items on our consent agenda today was from our Environmental Resource Management Group, and we approved a work order contract for additional development of our chain of green, if you will, of islands that we're building in the intercoastal, as we like to call it, the Lake Worth Lagoon. And I just wanted to give them a shout out to them and the work that they're doing. And it's something that we get to see every day. If you drive up and down Flagler or A1A, you have an opportunity to see it, and it stretches for miles along the waterway. And then lastly, I want to acknowledge and remember Senator Bob Dole, who passed away, as it was announced yesterday. Although from a different political party than myself, he always embodied just a true sense of statesmanship, and a public servant who worked so hard on behalf of the American people. So condolences to his family members and friends, and it's another loss for this nation.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and certainly we all appreciate the services of Senator Dole, both as a warrior and as a statesman. Okay, a few comments, and I think, we approve a lot of things on consent, and unfortunately a lot of these things are not recognized by our constituents of what's going on. So I'd like to highlight one, and maybe in the future, if you see one that's important to you, that we could bring them up during commissioners' remarks. The one I'd like to focus on is the dial-a-ride that we approved today. That's out in the Glades, and this was, again, done to substitute for what had been Go Glades, and we have seen this service, especially during the pandemic, embraced by our residents out west. And so today we approved an increase, amendment to the amount that's being contributed to Dial-A-Ride to continue that through June 30th, 2022. So I think this is a great opportunity, again, for mobility. Like we said before when we were talking about Palm Tran, it's a way of people having the ability to get out, have economic opportunity, see their doctors, see their friends, and I think this is a real important item that was on our consent agenda. Congratulations to Representative Schlossberg, who has just gotten married, and wishing her well. The League of Cities Barbecue, you missed some very sweet corn, Commissioner McKinley. It was quite a barbecue, and that corn was, I had 2 ears of corn. It was so delicious. So, yes, it was really great to go out there. It's a schlep, as we say in the old country, but it was certainly worth it.
Yeah, I have the same mileage budget as you guys do, so keep that in mind.
Yesterday, I'm not going to ever schedule lunch again when we have a regular meeting, because obviously when I do that, it's a bad signal. But I think this has been a good meeting, especially our conversations about UF today. Yesterday, we had 2 meetings of the TPA. One was the executive committee, where the TPA charged the executive committee with 2 items. One, to identify and recommend an interim executive director, and 2, to identify and recommend a consultant to do a search for a full-time executive director. The executive committee will be recommending on December 16th to the full board Valerie Nielsen as the executive director, the interim executive director. Thank you, Vice Mayor. And Reds will recommend Slavin Management Consultants as the firm that will be soliciting for applications for a full-time executive director. Ms. Nielsen will be applying for that position as well. We had 3 very good candidates yesterday we spoke to, and I think we're going to be in very good shape when this is done. We also had a second session after lunch on the surtax, or potential for a surtax, and it was a surtax roundtable on transportation. And we had representatives from the MPO in Broward and the TPO in Miami-Dade give us some input on how they were able to get this approved by the residents. And this is going to be a conversation, I think it's going to be ongoing both here and at the TPA. And I think that this is something we're going to have to get our hands around. I think we've all discussed the fact that there is money needed for transportation, whether it is for the rail, the air, for building out our road system, for mobility. There's a lot of things that are needed. And so between now and 2024, I'm sure we're going to have some conversations about it, how to best approach this, whether we can get the buy-in from our business community, and what that's going to look like. So I think that that's going to be a conversation for another day. And finally, I'm going to ask my vice mayor to make a motion to move to receive and file the 2022 list of boards and commission assignments by district commissioners. There's very little change in there. I think it was been distributed by my office. If it hasn't, no one's seen it yet? All right, rather than making a move to receive and file, I'm going to distribute it. We have time. These aren't effective until January, so we have some time on that. And then the only ones that had to be done were the ones for Treasure Coast, and that has been taken care of in consent. All right, so we're all good. All right, that's all I got for the day. And with that being said, and it's 2:30, I think it's time to adjourn.